A shop sells flowers. Daffodils are 99 pence for a bunch and roses are 40 pence each. John buys 3 bunches of daffodils. How much does he pay altogether? So if they're 99 pence each and he buys 3, we need to work out 99 pence times 3. Now we could use column multiplication, but a quicker way to do that is to spot that 99 pence is just 1 pence less than £1. So if they were £1 and John bought 3 bunches, he would spend £3. But because they're 1 pence less and he buys 3, he spends 3 pence less than £3. And £3 minus 3 pence is £2.97. So that's how much he pays altogether. Now Carpool has £4 to spend on roses. How many roses can she buy for £4? So £4 is the same as 400 pence, and roses cost 40 pence each. So we need to divide 400, the amount of money she has, by 40 pence, the amount that each rose costs. We can cancel our end zeros because in division questions, if we have an end zero in the dividend and the divisor, we can cancel them, and then 40 divided by 4 is 10, so she can buy 10 roses. The other way to think about this question is to think roses cost 40 pence each, so how many would you need to buy to make £4? And 40 pence times 10 is £4, so that means she buys 10 roses. Grace has a square. It has a perimeter of 28 centimetres. What is the side length of her square? So we need to remember that the perimeter is the total distance around the outside of a shape. And Grace has a square, so all of the lengths of the square are the same size. So if the total of 4 lengths is 28, we can work out one length by dividing 28 by 4. So that's 7, which means the side length of her square is 7 centimetres, because 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7 is 28. Chen chooses a prime number. He multiplies it by 10 and then rounds it to the nearest 100. His answer is 400. Write all the possible prime numbers Chen could have chosen. So we need to find the possible numbers that he could have chosen at the start. So for this question, we need to work backwards. His answer is 400, and that's what he got after rounding it to the nearest 100. So it could have been 350 to 449 before rounding, because numbers between these numbers round to 400. If we have a 5 in our tens, we round up, so the 3 becomes a 4, but if we have a 4 in our tens, we round down, so the 4 stays the same. So 350 is the smallest number that rounds to 400, and 449 the largest number. Now before he rounded to the nearest 100, he multiplied by 10. So we need to divide by 10 because we're working backwards. 350 divided by 10 is 35, and 449 divided by 10 is 44.9. But that's a decimal, and prime numbers are not decimals. So really, he had between 35 and 44 before multiplying by 10. So he had numbers between these numbers at the start. Now we know that he chooses a prime number. So which numbers are prime numbers that are also between 35 and 44? Well, remember, prime numbers are numbers with only 2 factors. They're only in the 1 times table and their own times table. So 37 is a prime number. That's only in the 1 times table and 37 times table. 39 is another prime number between 35 and 44. We could also have 41 or 43. So these are all the possible prime numbers Chen could have chosen. And then it's a good idea to just check that it works. So if he chose 37, he would have multiplied by 10 to get 370, and then if we round that to the nearest hundred, that's 400. This is what it costs to visit a castle. How much will it cost for 18 children under 11 to visit the castle? We can see that children under 11, the cost per person is 95 pence. So if we want the total cost for 18 children, we need to multiply 95 pence by 18. We can use column multiplication, and that gives us £17.10, because remember, to change pence into pounds, we count 2 digits from the right, put our decimal point in, and then that gives us the amount in pounds. The other way to work this out would be to think 95 pence is only 5 pence less than £1. And if it cost £1 for children to visit, that would be £18. But it's 5 pence less per child, and 5 pence times 18 is 90 pence. So the answer is 90 pence less than £18. Round the following numbers. First, we have 540 to the nearest hundred. So when we're rounding to the nearest hundred, we need to find our hundreds digit, which is always the third digit from the right, because we have ones, then tens, then hundreds. Then, to decide whether we round up or down, we look at the digit to the right, and if it's 4 or less, we round down, and we have a 4, so we're rounding down. That means this 5 will stay the same, and digits to the right turn into zeros, so we get 500. 540 is between 500 and 600, but it's closer to 500, so that's what it rounds to when rounding to the nearest hundred. Now we need to round 236 to the nearest 10. So this time we need to find our tens digit, which is the second digit from the right. When we look to the right, we have a 6, and if it's 5 or more, we round up. So here, because we're rounding up, this 3 will become a 4, this 2 will stay the same because digits to the left stay the same, and then our ones digit turns into a 0, so we have 240. And now we have 1 3/4 to the nearest whole number. So we need to think 1 3/4 will be between the whole numbers 1 and 2, and we can show 1 whole and then 3/4 of another, and we can see that that's nearer to 2 whole bars than it is to just 1 bar. We would need to take away 3 of our quarters to get 1 whole, but we'd only need to add 1/4 to get 2 wholes. The jug holds 800 millilitres of water when it is full. Estimate the amount of water that is in the jug. So we can see that the amount of water, if we copy an area the same size, is about 1/4 of the jug, and the total capacity of the jug is 800 millilitres. So we can find the amount of water by finding 1/4 of 800. Remember, to find a fraction of a number, we divide by the denominator, and 800 divided by 4 is 200. So 1/4 of 800 is 200, which means that the jug contains 200 millilitres of water. Jack says 2 3D shapes with the same number of faces as each other also have the same number of vertices as each other. Is Jack correct? Explain how you know. Well, Jack is not correct, and when the person is not correct, to explain how we know, we can give an example. So if we take this shape here, a square-based pyramid has 5 faces and 5 vertices. Remember, the faces are the flat bits, so we have a flat square face at the bottom, and then we have 4 triangular faces connecting each edge of the square to the top of the pyramid. So that's 1 square face, 4 triangular faces, so 5 faces altogether. And then vertices are the pointy bits. So we have 4 vertices in the corner of our square, and then another vertex at the top, so that's 5 vertices altogether. But if we have this shape here, that's a triangular prism, because a prism is a 2D shape that's been stretched out so that we have the same 2D shape on both ends, and then rectangular faces connecting the edges. So a triangular prism has 5 faces because it has a triangle at each end, and then 3 rectangles in the middle connecting the edges of the triangle, so that's 5 faces altogether. But it has 6 vertices because we have 3 vertices, 3 pointy bits at each end. So here we've got 2 shapes which have the same number of faces. They both have 5 faces, but they don't have the same number of vertices, because our square-based pyramid has 5 vertices, but our triangular prism has 6. Draw the reflection of this triangle in the mirror line. So we need to have the same reflected on both sides, and the way to do that is to dot our corners. So this corner here is 1, 2, 3 dots to the left, so we can go 1, 2, 3 dots to the right. And then this corner and this corner are both on the mirror line, so they will be on the mirror line when we reflect the shape as well. So all we need to do is join up our corners and we have our reflection. Emily chooses 2 numbers. She adds the 2 numbers together and divides the result by 2. Her answer is 44. One of Emily's numbers is 12. What is Emily's other number? So we can solve this by working backwards. And to do that, what we can do is draw a diagram to show what's happened. So first she adds the 2 numbers together, and one of the numbers is 12. So first we have the other number plus 12. Then she divides the result by 2, and her answer is 44. So now something divided by 2 is 44. Because we're working backwards, rather than dividing, we need to multiply, and 44 times 2 is 88. So that means 88 divided by 2 is 14. Now something plus 12 is 88. We're working backwards, so we can work out 88 minus 12, and that gives us 76. So Emily's other number is 76. She's added 12 to make 88, and then divided by 2 to get 44. David and his friends prepare a picnic. Each person at the picnic will get 3 sandwiches, 2 bananas, and 1 packet of crisps. The children pack 45 sandwiches. How many bananas do they pack? So each person gets 3 sandwiches, 2 bananas, and 1 packet of crisps, and they pack 45 sandwiches altogether. So to work out how many children there are, we need to think 3 times what is 45. Well, if we divide 45 by 3, we get 15. So 3 times 15 is 45. And if we do the same to our 2 bananas, so multiply by 15, that gives us 30. So they pack 30 bananas. 4 children are in a race. Chen is 2 meters ahead of Alfie. Nina is 5 meters behind Megan. Alfie is 3 meters behind Megan. Write the names of the runners in order starting with the child who is furthest ahead. So what we can do to solve this question is to draw a diagram to show what's happening. So Chen is 2 meters ahead of Alfie. And then in our next statement, we're told that Nina is 5 meters behind Megan. But we don't know where to write that on our diagram because we only know about Chen and Alfie. So we don't know if Nina and Megan are further ahead up here or further behind. But the next statement tells us that Alfie is 3 meters behind Megan. And because that statement mentions a child who we already know about, we can write that on our diagram next. So we have Alfie, and he's 3 meters behind Megan. So Megan is 3 meters in front of Alfie. So now we can come back to our second statement. Nina is 5 meters behind Megan. So Nina is 5 meters behind Megan, which means that Megan must be the furthest ahead. Then we have Chen, then Alfie, and then furthest behind is Nina. Explain why 125 is a cube number. Well, 5 times 5 times 5 is 125, because 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 again is 125. And when you multiply a number by itself, and then by itself again, you get a cube number. So 5 cubed is 125. You get 125 when you multiply 5 by itself and then by itself again.